Good afternoon. My name is Wade Lee, and I am the managing member of Hāloa ʻāina, which is a reforestation company that is based on education and reforestation on the slopes of Mauna Loa. Where we are standing, I know it doesn't look like that in the background, but this is a native Hawaiian dryland forest. And what we are trying to accomplish here is to reestablish the forest utilizing what resources are available in terms of what's available on the land. When we started 10 years ago, one of the things that we noticed up here was that we had a lot of dead and dying trees from the cattle industry. So we started making sandalwood essential oil, and from that we were able to reestablish the majority of this forest. If you look around us, when we started here, we had 3,900 live sandalwood trees. We now have over 280,000 sandalwood trees on the property. Most of them are very young, but we take all of the funds that we get from selling the sandalwood oil and put it back into the land. We are a for-profit company, and that was specifically designed so that we could show other landowners that they don't need to grow exotic plants on native lands, that there is a way, if you just listen to the ʻāina, of establishing an economic, sustainable strain of cash flow in order to do the work that needs to be done. We have now been here since 2009. So in that time, we have established over 1 million native trees. And the sandalwood trees that are here are hemiparasitic, so they need other trees to grow. That's why it's such a nice fit. In order to grow sandalwood, you need to grow the rest of the forest too.
I think gone are the days of us thinking you put up a fence, that's conservation. You know, because we have so many non-native plants that, you know, it's just threats that the native plants have never had to deal with. Like this kikuyu grass. You know, like, how is anything supposed to come through that? Nothing. You know, and the crazy thing with kikuyu grass is you dig down, and for 2 feet above the surface it's brown and dry. You know, it all soaks up the water before it even gets to the dirt. You know, I think you have to actively manage it. Take care of the invasive plants. Unless you're gonna put a dome over it and not let the birds fly over it and not let the wind blow through it, you're doing yourself a disservice by not going in and actively managing it and actively taking care of the plants and the birds and the sheep or the goats or the cows or whatever else is in there. You know, what is this forest willing to give us? It wasn't koa, because the koa industry in the 80s and early 90s just completely decimated the koa population up here. So we started to look, and it was pretty evident pretty early that it was going to be the dead and dying sandalwood trees. You know, and when we first started, we were selling the whole trees to companies that were making oil. And then once we found out, oh, we should be making our own oil, that's when we started making our own oil. You know, it hopefully is the blueprint for other parts of the world even. You know, not just Hawaii, but you know, if you can find a product that is truly native, that by harvesting it, you're making, you know, your native land better, or trying to take it back a few hundred years to where it once thrived. I think, you know, hopefully that's the winning combination, and that's the winning equation, is that, you know, using something truly Hawaiian from people from Hawaii, you know, that you're making a positive impact to the community and also the ʻāina. I mean, that's kind of what everybody's goal should be. You know, you're not negatively impacting anything, you're taking what the forest can give to you, you know, and hopefully make some money enough to pay for a couple of families, you know, and pay for the forest to still be here.
This land that we're standing on is part of a larger Keaho Ahupua'a. We are actually on Keaho 2. And this land actually belonged to my family before contact. Yeah? So in 1853, the land was auctioned off by the Kingdom of Hawaii, and this was bought by a man named Henry Greenwell. The Greenwell Ranch went bankrupt because they cleared the forest here to grow this kikuyu grass, and when they cleared the forest, the water left. So the rainfall went from 43 inches a year to 18 inches a year. Cows need 8 gallons of water per day. They could no longer sustain the ranch. It was then bought by the Pace family in 1986, and then our family formed a hui and bought the land back in 2009. So this has come full circle in terms of getting the ownership back. So on the mountain right now, all three of my sons, I have three boys, Justin, Brandon, and Ryan, they're all very much involved in what it is that we're doing up here and the whole ideology. And right now we're going through the process of putting a conservation easement up here so that this land here will no longer be able to be subdivided, and it can no longer go back to cattle. It will stay in native Hawaiian dryland forests in perpetuity. And that's kind of the way we envision it in the long term, and it's just reverting it back to what it once was 200 years ago.